fake news. Fake news and market manipulations have been a primary threat to brands, celebrities, financial markets, damaging their image, reputation, and even causing monetary losses. How can you distinguish between fake news and a real story? And how can you track down those who are spreading the fake news? This is the central point of discussion today at Inside Tomorrow, the show hosted by Dukascopy TV here in Geneva. My name is Yelena Ganzov-Vandarmiash. I'm a producer and host of the show, and our special guest in the studio today is Paul Wen. Paul, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much for your invitation.
Paul is a tech entrepreneur who is specializing in economic crime investigation and cybersecurity. And this is not your first time in the studio of Inside Tomorrow.
Right. Thank you very much for re-inviting me.
So now, from your experience of investigating economic crime for big companies and also digitally, what is your experience in terms of which social media platforms are the most vulnerable today to fake news and market manipulations? And if there is any price tag that we can put on those manipulations?
Thank you for that question. It's a very interesting question. So you may remember 3 years ago when you invited me to the conference, we were talking also about how AI can help. And artificial intelligence can help distinguish fact from fake because artificial intelligence is the one really going to the in-depth of the social media details. Right now, we are faced with the massive amount of data that are being spreaded over social media. And with the human being, it's not possible just to go analyze every single post automatically. So we need to use artificial intelligence, machine learning, neural networks in order to help the human being decide what is fake and what is not fake. Maybe to take an example about a picture that I took at the Mirror Lake.
Yeah.
This picture is very interesting because the first picture is really the reverse of the second picture.
Yeah.
And you'll probably see it here appearing here.
Yeah.
So this picture is hard to distinguish whether it's the reverse one or the authentic one because they look alike. So in the second picture afterwards, this one is actually the real one. So how does a human being distinguish this from the previous one? It's
from
hard.
a quick scan?
From a quick scan, it's just
not
impossible.
Really see it. Yeah,
no, it's just
impossible,
not possible. However, using techniques like artificial intelligence, machine learning, there are certain criteria that will be able to pixelize to distinguish the tiny little details that a human being is not able to find. And that's how the power of machine learning or artificial intelligence comes into play. You probably know the cognitive bias is what you read is what you believe, or what you see is also what you believe. That's the cognitive bias. So a human being will always have this sort of attitude. And you were asking the question about the platforms. So nowadays, all the different social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, VK, Reddit, they are the ones that have expanded very much. To take one example, on social media last year, it has been published about COVID-19 vaccines.
We'll have the slide.
And here we have a typical example. On the left one, it's the fake poster that has been accounted for the Swiss Federal Public Health Authority. And the right one is the authentic one. When this was published, a lot of people just retweeted. Because they saw the logo of the Swiss Confederation, they saw a doctor, they saw all the different ads that the Federal Public Authority did in order to promote the vaccination campaign. But suddenly there's a doctor that said, don't get vaccinated because it's dangerous. And so what we did in order to investigate about this fake poster, we analyzed within 120 hours about 2 million posts, 600,000 accounts on Twitter and on other social media in order to detect where is it coming from, who are the ringleaders, in what languages has it been communicated. And this is typical, one of the case study that you use artificial intelligence on those social media to scan through and to detect and to identify whether this is authentic, not authentic, who is spreading that information.
Which groups are behind all
Which
this?
groups are behind. And we found it in French, we found it in other languages, in Korean, in all those kind of languages. And what is very important, why we use artificial intelligence, machine learning, and neural networks and those technology, is that by going through 2 million of posts, it's just not possible for a human being to analyze every single post, to analyze every single image, to find out where is this image coming from. And we found out that this image was just taken, that fictitious doctor was just taken from Shutterstock that was actually put on the real authentic image.
So which criteria can you use to identify false and true? Like probably in luxury goods, luxury bags, like Hermes can have a special criteria that will identify the real bag from a fake bag. Is there any criteria that you have in your machine learning and AI system or models?
Of course, before having the criteria, before defining the criteria, you need a human being to collect the data, to flag the data as this is authentic, this is genuine, as opposed to the one who are fake. So then once you enter those data into the system will train by itself, will learn.
So basically it's the human being that is telling in the very beginning, this is fake, this is fake, this is fake,
Correct.
This is fake, this is true, 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 true. So the model will build their system, their kind of algorithm to understand what is true and what is not.
Correct. This is very important because as long as you don't have a human person that will categorize the data, the machine will not learn by itself. You need to have the initial steps. But once you collected a lot of data, let's say on Twitter, there's roughly 6 posts that are being tweeted every second on Twitter. So that's the massive amount. There are 500 million active social media users on Twitter on a daily basis. And whenever you gathered all that information, the machine will learn by itself. So once you have the first initial instance of the model, by collecting massive amount of data, the machine will learn and will become more and more efficient and more effective.
Yeah, and there are many bots on all those platforms.
And the bots, this is a very interesting aspect because the bots, they are used by marketers to promote positive marketing, but they're also used to promote harmful narratives. So the bots, by people who are malicious, the people who want to spread disinformation or spread fake news, they will use bots. And what is interesting also about bots is that bots accounts will follow other bots. And that's how people will distinguish whether this is maybe harmful, not harmful, why a bot following another bot. The purpose of a bot following another bot is to spread information more rapidly, more automatically, and on an exponential rate.
And also picked up by real followers who will retweet, repost, re-like.
Yes, because as you know, as I mentioned about the figures, 6 posts on Twitter per second, about 98%, if I remember right, of the people who are using social media, they use it on the mobile phone. So 98% is huge. They are not behind the computer, but they're using the mobile phone. So how do you, as a user on a mobile phone, will distinguish between which is authentic or not authentic? And people, they skim through. They usually go through, and whenever they like it, they automatically say, I like, without even looking at it.
Sometimes they don't even read the post, they just like the picture. They
don't read
right?
it, exactly. And that's across all the generations. The younger generation, they have more the tendency, but the older generations, the more adult ones, they're also using the same because they don't have the time to really analyze before retweeting. So whenever we do investigation, for sure, we need to analyze. We need to corroborate with other data sources in order to find out whether a post that has been sent by Times Magazine, for example, is really from Times Magazine. And you sometimes see
Exactly.
on Twitter the accounts that said, let's say, real person ABC or person ABC with let's say John Smith. But there's a John Smith and then the John Smith with two T. People, whenever they see it, they will see the face of John Smith, but they will say, oh, that's the authentic one, so I'm following. It can be a personality, it can be a political person, a CEO of a company, and they will trust it. So that's why a lot of big influencers, let's say Elon Musk, he has many accounts. He has one account and it's always written like real or political persons. And that is very important. And for sure, as a user, without the help of artificial intelligence, machine learning, you will not be able to detect it because you see the picture of the person, you say, oh, but that has been posted by the picture, by the person.
Now, let's speak about GameStop. That was a big case.
Yes.
And it took a while to take off, and nobody saw a short squeeze happening at all. How can you characterize that case? Was it a manipulation to you of the markets?
So GameStop started with a very interesting story because all those short sellers, the hedge funds, they see GameStop as a declining business. And so they decided just to short because that's how they will earn money.
Yeah, everything is going digital, yeah.
Exactly. And the retail investors, so like normal citizens, whenever they saw that a high number of short positions was being entered by all those hedge funds, they decided to gather all together to create a critical mass in order to fight against those hedge funds. Because the retail investors, they also want their piece of the cake in order to earn money on this. And so whenever they saw that tendency of those short sellers, they decided to gather all together by posting on Reddit, and they decided to buy and hold. Whenever you buy and hold, the number of stocks that are available on the market will diminish, and for sure, automatically the price will increase because more people wants to buy, but the only remaining number of amounts. So by creating this massive effect, reaching the critical mass on Reddit, whenever they posted, say, okay, let's buy GameStop, let's hold it, so do not sell it. All the short sellers, whenever they saw that increase, they said, okay, well, then we are getting in a bad position. How are we going to compensate the loss? So that triggered the rapid increase of GameStop. Is it called a market manipulation? It's something.
There's a fine line.
There's a fine line because they just bought and hold rather than posting negative or harmful or fake news. But this is how it demonstrates the power of social media. Using social media, people can gather all together to fight against another institution. And this is typically the David and Goliath fight. The Goliath fight, the hedge funds, and the David, all the normal retail investors. So it wasn't really a market manipulation. However, it led at the conclusion that GameStop just skyrocketed. And that's the same thing for other memes like AMC, like Nokia, like BlackBerry, all those ones that are like what we call the single-digit stocks and that people are not very interested in, but they follow the same trend as GameStop. So this is interesting to demonstrate how powerful a social media can whenever you gather a lot of community that people will carry on. So that's how you attract also investors. Say, okay, well, let's do that against the hedge funds.
And they outcrowded, basically.
And they outcrowded, yes.
Yeah. For crypto investors, they also become a primary threat for bot campaigns on social media. What advice would you give for non-IT professionals, those who are working in finance, how they can see the fake news faster so that they can start investigation or to get in panic or not to get in panic?
This is very important nowadays, not only for the young generation who are more savvy into the crypto market or the blockchain market, but also to normal investors. And what is becoming very interesting is that because the cryptocurrency now they're all over the places, but they're still not a commodity, not used as a commodity yet. Whenever you see artificially promoted marketing about one cryptocurrency, let's say Dogecoin. And you see, for example, Elon Musk at some point, he posted, say, well, Dogecoin to the moon. The number of followers of Elon Musk is just humongous. And when they see that, they will naturally believe, because Elon Musk posted that narrative in a very simple word, say Dogecoin to the moon. So people start to believe, say, if Elon Musk is ready to invest and he says Dogecoin to the moon, that means the Dogecoin will skyrocket. So they started to invest. Although behind the scene, is it really worth something? It's uncertain. So the advice for those crypto investors is really to find out what people are talking about, the utility of those cryptocurrencies, whether the promotion has been the promotion of the news has been artificially being done or not, and what are the tendency of the authentic narrative against the inauthentic narrative, and who really posted them. So you see, I mean, this is the analysis that we did using one of our platform on Zen Pulsar, is really to show what are the inauthentic posts. That's concerning the Bitcoin.
In the blue one,
that's
yeah,
the blue line. Who among the altcoiners have posted them? That's the yellow one, and then the bot one, the experienced investor. That is also interesting because the experienced investor are usually the ones that are more trustful. And you need those information. Say, okay, that's a valid source of information, a trustful source of information. The market analysis, the FOMO one, the fear of missing out, the bearish, the bullish. And that's how you see the tendency. At the same time, on the lower part, you see the price. And you see the volume and the price. So there's a correlation that you can do in those time series analysis in order to find out how much information from each of those category of investors or people who have posted accounts does influence the market price. Mm-hmm. And from a predictive perspective, and that's how we want to go, in order to predict, say, okay, something is going to happen for the price, either upwards or downwards, according to the trends of posts that have been done by each of those categories. And that's how we call it the time series. In order to find out the historical background of the evolution of narrative of post, and at the same time of the price, and then in order to predict it. This being done usually also by like Bloomberg or those kind of platforms. But what we do is that we collect information from social media in order to aggregate that information. We don't predict anything. We don't say, or we don't give an opinion about the price will increase or not increase, but we only state the fact. And that's very important also from an investigation perspective, because you need to state the fact.
Now in the upcoming manipulating trends, mm-hmm. Which ones can you identify in the upcoming future?
So in the upcoming future, the positive marketing against the negative marketing is something which is crucial. The positive marketing can be done by a company who wants to take more market share against the competition. But you need to be aware of, because of the economical downturn that the last few years, because of the pandemic situation, everybody is looking for money. Everybody is trying to get more revenue. So they will use whatever systems in order to promote to promote their product, to promote their services. So they will naturally use also social media because social media are being seen by roughly, I think from the last analysis survey, about 4.8 billions of users of social media. That's more than 50% of the entire global population. And because of working from home, a lot of people are just connected all the time. So they see it. So the increase of social media usage over the last 2 years, over the last year, has really skyrocketed. And that's how people can use those to brand themselves, to promote themselves, at the same time to discourage or to post a harmful narrative against their competition. Say, okay, well, if the company A and company B are two competitors, company A say we're better than company B, they will also probably use bots in order to artificially promote their positive marketing, but against the B one, will say, okay, well, their product is useless, their product is in bad quality, etc. So that is also the tendency nowadays. And for sure, from a financial perspective, the fact that everything has been digitalized in the financial market, not only the crypto market, but also the normal financial traditional market, the more information people get, the more they can decide whether to invest or not invest. And because of the massive amount of data that are flowing on social media, on any kind of platform, and I was mentioning TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, VK, etc., about a company that you would like to invest on, you need artificial intelligence platform correct enough, quick enough, efficient enough in order to distinguish what is fake from what is real, and then decide upon investment.
So basically to investigate and find out who is spreading the fake news.
Who is spreading the information, whether that information is authentic or not. And what is important nowadays is that people have lost online trust, because same as cognitive bias, as I mentioned at the beginning, is that online trust has been lost and you need to regain it.
Now, let's say you have tracked down to those who are spreading the fake news.
Yeah.
We have tracked down to the physical location. And I think that many people will have a question. So who is going to find them? Find those groups, find those people, and press charges. Who is responsible? Is it the platform? Because we understand that, okay, we can report them to the platform will close the account, and that will be the end of the story. But it's not the end of the story. So these groups or people, they open new accounts. So how do you track them down constantly? Or in the end of the day, we should track them down their physical location. And is it the local authorities or is it the platform that is responsible?
This is also very interesting question. Who's liable? Who wants to do the action of tracking it down? Right. Who's responsible for those actions? You probably have seen within Europe, there's a European code for disinformation that has been emitted, I think 2 or 3 years ago. Those social media like Twitter, Facebook have accepted to adhere to that code of conduct. However, experience has shown that within 2 years, did they really get into that following or apply this code of conduct? According to the EU commissioner, Twitter was probably the one that really applied it. But it's hard for those social media because they are earning money from the posts. So there's always a fight and a balance between the freedom of expression and neutralizing it. So whenever this EU guideline code of conduct has been emitted, they said those social media needs to be accounted for and liable for dismantling, for neutralizing it. So they do it. But since, as you mentioned, there's one being neutralized and then 10 others that have been created. And that's how the power of artificial intelligence will come at play in order to help. This is a diagram about the bot. And whenever you have the bot that are following bots, or bots that are being spreading information to all the different followers, those social media platforms have the data at source. So they are the ones who will be able, using the results that are being obtained from this network diagram, to be able to find out who are the other ones that are potentially bots, that are potentially harmful accounts that needs to be neutralized. So that's always a fight between what is authentic and what is not authentic. Nowadays, there's no sanctions, there's no penalty.
Not yet.
Not yet. Whether they will come, nobody really knows, because freedom of expression, people will still fight for it. However, the more controlled way the social media has, the more people will regain trust. So if suddenly a social media is saying that we managed to dismantle everything, or everything which is harmful, we are following this code of conduct on 100% level, people will naturally regain trust. For sure, all the people who wants to fight for the freedom of expression will probably say, okay, well, let's ignore that social media because they are closing down all our accounts. But that's always a fight, and that's always a fight between the good and the bad.
Yeah, and both good and bad are both armed with AI.
Yes, for sure. We all know, I mean, viruses comes and then antiviruses. So to be able to anticipate, you need tools. You need to empower people, organization, with technology, advanced technology tools, in order to be able to predict, to anticipate, like harmful actions that the bad guys or the people who are driven by negative objective, because they also use artificial intelligence. They are very powered enough in order to use those advanced technology like neural networks. They will do the same, but for a harmful objective.
So that also means that social media platforms like your company, they should be also armed with the AI models and AI investigation teams.
Correct.
Tracking down the fake news, market manipulations, artificial promotions. I know that some platforms, they had their human teams.
Correct.
Filtering the post, but I
the
think
fact checkers.
Today, this is not enough, and
this is already a good start.
What human can do,
correct,
will be very little compared with what AI can do.
Correct. That's correct. And we have to also understand AI has been totally weaponized. AI has been weaponized by organization as well, to do good and also to do bad. But the tendency of increasing the usage of technology, advanced technologies such as AI, to help the human being minimize the effort or render it more efficient and more effective, faster, will always be there. There's not a fight between whether it's a human or AI that needs to decide. At the end of the day, the human will always be the decision maker. However, AI technology will help the human decide on a better way and a more efficient and more correct way.